Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Mac.
And today we're going to give our first impressions of Gutenberg.
Yes.
Which I found to be an interesting theme. It definitely has a Euro-y feel to, like, the name.
Well, you would think so. I mean, Gutenberg was the press invented in Europe, so...
That is true, so that does give it that little Euro-y feel.
Yes. Mr. Gutenberg.
Mr. Gutenberg.
Johannes, I believe his first name was.
But I feel like, well, I guess I don't know all the games in the world, but I don't think that there's all that, a lot of Euro games, it seems like, you're farming or building a village or something like that.
Sure.
It's a little bit different.
A little bit, yeah.
It's even got these nice little wooden pieces to kind of make you feel like you're...
got some backward letters on them for you.
Thematic almost, in a way. So this was one that, just based on the name and kind of the interesting theme, got me interested right away, and then I saw Tom Vasel give it, I think, the seal of excellence, which kind of just solidified it as a game that I definitely wanted to try, and I knew it had like this gear system, and the only other game I've played that has like a moving gear system, I think, is Zulkin. Do we have any other ones that have a gear system?
I feel like I've played something with a gear system like this before, but I can't remember...
Yeah, I can't remember if there was
I'm thinking
another one.
It was like Glass Road. It wasn't necessarily a gear, but it was like a
That's
turning
where it had something that was turning,
ability.
But,
and was there something with Runes of Arnak? Or am I thinking of something else?
I don't think there's anything in Lost Runes of Arnak. But yeah, so there's a decent amount going on in this game, but it's a lot of, I think, just kind of tracks and kind of generating or getting resources of ink, letters, in order to fulfill contracts. There's a lot of contract fulfillment is really what it is, turning resources into contracts or turning them in to fulfill contracts and then get points, and I keep forgetting, guilders.
Yeah, guilders? Now you said it, now I can't.
The coins in the game, whatever those are called.
Guilders, that's
and then kind of other bonuses and stuff as well. So it's kind of that type of game if you like those kind of resource management or...
So basically any Euro game?
Right. I guess I don't know what you'd call it. It's kind of an engine building type feel because you're getting more and more letters and being able to use them to print out more things kind of later on, but not really.
Yeah.
Because there's still only so many ways to get more and more of them, I think. But no, I was excited coming in, and I was pretty happy with the first gameplay of it. And I think we only played it at 2 players, but just from the feel of how relatively quickly this went, for looking like you kind of have all these different spots on the board, it's pretty well laid out. It's kind of almost like... I think Portal actually has another game, Predaporter, which is kind of laid out in order of what's happening as well. And here, the 5 different actions you can do are all in order, so it's just really quick. So I think this would be one that would actually play pretty well at 4 players.
It's a really simple board, but I feel like they did a good job of getting detail on the board to still make it, like, help it be thematic, while also being able to tell what you're looking at. So.
Right. I agree. I think this one would play or scale pretty well. I guess there's a solo mode. I don't really know much about that. But yeah, I really enjoyed the first play of it. I guess, how did you feel? I know you...
I mean, it's not a heavy Euro game, so I think that was fine. Like, I caught on, pretty quickly. I mean, we watched a rules video and stuff too, but when you're playing it, it makes, it's just next. Very, very Euro in that way, and in the same vein of, like, you're doing things, you're gathering things in order to fill things, and so it's very, like, streamlined Euro in that way, where it's not really different or have anything, like, to me, overly remarkable in the way it does things, but, I thought it was good. I think it'll scale well, and be probably still a good game at a higher player count, because it is so streamlined, and it really is. There are some pieces I don't really like. Like, I'm never a fan of bidding.
I was going to ask you that, because I know you don't typically like bidding, but I guess how did you feel in this one? And I think that this might be a little more interesting if you were playing with 3 or 4 players, because then you're kind of comparing more things.
I was going to say, in a 2-player game, it's kind of like, like...
Right, because the one time we actually, each round, one player, the non-first player, is going to have one more cube to bid with than the other, and you're bidding over the 5 actions on the board.
Yeah.
One time we had the exact same layout outside of the 1 cube difference.
But you were first player, so I got all the
ties. Yep.
So I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know that it's as interesting at 2 players, but I do like what it is doing, and it's a pretty simple thing because you kind of see what your options are, and then you kind of just at least what I thought was, do I want to do all 5 actions? If I don't want to do them all, then okay, just ignore that, but put at least 1 cube on every action I want to do, and then kind of determine from there, which one's the most important. Do I think that they're going to think it's that important? So a little bit of thinking, especially I think if you played with more players.
Yeah.
There'd be more thought that goes into that part.
Well, and I think the cubes move, like you'll go down significantly in cubes because everybody has to pass one to the star player. So by the time it comes down, or by the time you're first player, you will have like the lowest amount of cubes.
Right. But you win ties.
Right.
So that's kind of how it tries to keep it somewhat even.
Yeah. Which I think is probably good
for
this, because if everyone always had the same amount of cubes and start player was just moving around, like the bidding is almost not even necessary then.
Right. Yeah. So I'm definitely interested to see how that'll play in a 4-player game. And yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. I know there's some games that I get done with and I'm like, oh boy, if we play that at 4 players, that's going to be like 3.5 to 4 hours. But I don't think I'm too worried about that happening with this game.
No.
And I think it's going to be one that's very easy to teach.
Yeah. And I think your decision matrix as you go on in the game gets easier and easier because it comes down to what you've built up. So kind of that engine building, but not really engine building. It's just, kind of building on what you've already done. So
Yeah. And I think the only other thing is some of the symbology, at least in the first play. I think it might be a little tough to know exactly what it's saying, but usually you have a kind of an idea, and the rulebook explains all of them.
And they've got some pretty good
player
aids here too on the screen, which I thought was pretty helpful because most of the time I could look here and figure it out, but there are some finer details probably in the rulebook.
Yep. But yeah, otherwise I think it's a pretty well put together package. So yeah, I definitely check it out if you tend to like Euro games, especially ones that aren't too heavy and are approachable, easy to get into right away. I think this would be a solid one for that.
I agree.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can check out our unboxing of this as well if you kind of want to see some of the components in the box.
Yeah, maybe you can find where you put that round marker.
Yes, I don't know where that went, but
Say wall.
Right. But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.